oh man, he shouldn't have said this, he shouldn't have said that, he shouldn't have all these opinions, he shouldn't be trying to be the new Kanye.
Yeah.
They want him to be the old Kanye.
Yeah.
Like old Kanye doesn't have Yeezys around the entire world.
Yeah.
Old Kanye doesn't have the impact that he's had so far around the world.
Yeah.
And we have to stop. I feel like we have to stopping people from expressing themselves.
Exactly. And this is the worst part about it that bothers me is that we're a country that's built off of quote unquote free speech. But then when you say something that someone dislikes now, they're so super sensitive that's not really free speech if you got to censor it. Like if you had the ability to censor something, like just recently Elon Musk just bought Twitter. You know that, right? Mm-hmm. So guess what? Twitter is like right now the free form of speech, but you can get shut down in Twitter. Twitter can shut you down and stop your account, where basically you're not expressing yourself because they deem it, you know, unreasonable or deem it negative or whatever. Let's get started on the D&D broadcast, baby.
The D&D Leveling Up podcast.
Let's knock it out.
Let's knock it out.
It's like barbecue chicken pizza. So it smells a little weird.
What's on the docket today, man?
Today on
what
the
we
docket,
talking about?
bro, I want to talk about this Kanye West.
All right, then we on the same page.
On this Kanye West stuff.
Now I kind of want to hear what he said. I haven't even got a chance to sit down.
I didn't see all of what he said. I know the comments were like really provocative to people, but right. I don't think what he said was particularly anti-Semitic. There were some things that were a little bit more sensitive. You know, I didn't see the whole thing, but I did see where he said that he felt like black people and Jewish are like the original Jewish people, we're kind of similar, if not
which made sense,
the same. You know what I'm saying? So I think in terms of that portion, that's what I heard, but I didn't hear anything that was disparaging against Jewish people, except the fact that he was saying basically that they pretty much controlled, media and things like that. Which, is, to be honest with you, is a large amount of people.
It's a large amount of people. Very large amount.
A large amount of people who happen to be in the Hollywood industry, who happen to be Jewish, just happen to be Jewish.
It's not a small amount. And people
who control a lot of interests. Controlling interests.
There it is.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. What I find wrong is that if they was to say... They say things 30 times worse.
Yeah.
About
black people.
Every day.
Of course.
Every day in the media, we are some derogative word.
Exactly.
Or we're the whole entire subject will be assigned to us.
Exactly.
Crime.
Exactly. Well, it doesn't.
Early pregnancies.
Exactly.
We're assigned to like really bad words.
Exactly.
And when you mention one group of people saying that they own this or own that, or having something to say against that, all of a sudden you're
anti-Semitic.
You're anti-Semitic.
And this is the thing. Why don't we have like anti-black? Like, where's the anti-blackness going from?
There it is.
Like, where is the canceling for being the anti-black or being racist? You know what I'm saying? Where is the cancellation for that?
And we're an entire. It's not okay. Jewish, I believe, is like a sect of people that could possibly be from one region, another region, this region over here, right?
Black Jews.
But when we talk about that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So this sect of people can't be bigger than the entire. I'm just gonna make this about us. Than the entire black culture.
No, it can't.
Can't be.
No.
And yet we're scared to get pulled over.
Yeah.
We're scared to even live in the places that we live. We have to move out of the places we live so we can feel safe.
Yeah.
Not even be safe.
Yeah.
Feel safe.
Yeah, and it's also I'll give you an example. It's just kind of strange. Is that we have gentrification is right when you have places areas that are predominantly black and they become predominantly inhabited, the prices in that area go up to the point where the people who are there who happen to be our color brown, really, not black. I don't believe in the whole black thing because it makes no sense. And then what happens is they end up getting either thrown out or they end up getting priced out of that area because they can't afford to live there. And then other people, other persuasions, and I can tell you who they are, come in and they basically start living there. And they, of course, can afford to be there, so they stay there. And then, of course, those people are migrated to another area. But, you know, that's, interestingly enough, the strange thing about that is where I think that we have this correlation, we don't even think about it, is like, if you think about the people who are the Syrian people who were living in Israel before Israel became a state, there were people that were there, Palestinians, that's why they still call it Palestine, who were living there, because Israel is a brand new country. It is a created country that was helped by Jewish people and the American government, and they created Israel. Israel's a created state. You know what I'm saying? They decide, okay, we're going to come in here, and whoever the Palestinians are, it's like gentrification to the highest level. Now, in Jewish people, they feel like, well, you know what? We've been displaced because it was diaspora, where they got displaced. And it's understandable. They got displaced from different places. Originally, that was a place where they had settled that was there. They considered their inheritance, that was their land, and God put them there, right? But of course, with them being spread apart, when they came back to that land, someone's like, almost like you coming back to a house, and now somebody else is inhabiting it. Right. You know what I'm saying? Now, do you kick them out? You say, oh, well, this is my house, this is my land. No, I've been living here for like, what you call it? You can't just come in here and kick me out of my house. No, I originally own this land. What are you talking about? So I can understand Jewish people's perspective. And you have to remember that there's a difference between people who are ethnically Jews and there are people who are religious Jews. Totally different thing. And see, you got to be able to separate that because there's Judaism, and then there's Jewish people. But not every person who is from the Jewish lineage or Jewish practice Judaism. Right? You know what I'm saying? So that's a different type of perspective because, you know, if you're following these type of laws and these type of things, you do things a certain type of way. And some people that's why they say some people are not practicing Jews. They are just happen to be culturally in that Jewish. But then there's black people who practice Judaism, like Whoopi Goldberg. She considers herself Jewish. So does Sammy Davis Jr. Became a Jew. Start practicing Jew. So now you can become a Jewish person or Jewish, they consider, but it's really there's a lot of mix in between. Now, some people, you know, have their different disparages because, you know, I think a lot of Jewish people and black people compare their whole situation, the Holocaust, the Exodus, you know, see black people being displaced, you know. But the fact of the matter is that there shouldn't be any situation where one culture is able to dominate another culture and also propagate off that culture and exploit that culture, and then when that culture speaks out, then you can basically shut that culture down or shut the individual down. You know what I'm saying? It's
getting completely out of hand, man. If you're not paying attention, there are things that you would probably think would be impossible to do that people are doing. This Kanye thing is the next thing in a long list of things that just shouldn't be able to be done. Kanye losing contracts and this, that, and other, that just happens, right?
Yeah, that just happens.
That just happens. You're in business with somebody and then it doesn't work out. Yeah. Now, after you lose your business with that one person, everybody else in the room, all the other companies start looking around and trying to see, oh, this might not be a good move for us to stay in it with this person. It just is what it is. Yeah. But there are people who are like, oh man, he shouldn't have said this, he shouldn't have said that, he shouldn't have all these opinions, he shouldn't be trying to be the new Kanye. They want him to be the old Kanye. Like old Kanye doesn't have Yeezys around the entire world. Old Kanye doesn't have the impact that he's had so far around the world. And we have to stop. I feel like we have to stop stopping people from expressing themselves.
Exactly. And this is the worst part about it that bothers me is that we're a country that's built off of quote unquote free speech. But then when you say something that someone dislikes now, they're so super sensitive that's not really free speech if you got to censor it. Like you censor, if you had the ability to censor something, like just recently, Elon Musk just bought Twitter. You know that, right? Mm-hmm. So guess what? Twitter is like right now the free form of speech, but you can get shut down in Twitter. Twitter can shut you down, and stop your account, where basically you're not expressing yourself because they deem it, you know, unreasonable or deem it negative or whatever.
And that brings me back to my point. There's just certain things that shouldn't be able to be done.
Yeah.
How do you silence the president of a nation?
Exactly.
How do you silence the president of the United States on any platform?
Exactly.
Who gets to do that?
Exactly.
And it happened. It's not who it happened to.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the individual person, but any president. How do you say, oh, we're going to take him off of here and take him off of there while he's in office?
Exactly.
I know he said some crazy things.
Oh,
we all know who we're talking about.
We know who we're talking about.
We know who we're talking about.
DT, not me. DT, but it's not me.
DT. Another
DT, but it's not
DT. But it's not me. Understand? We know who we're talking about. If you don't know, his initials are D and T. He's a former president, very popular. Very popular.
Has orange hair.
Let's say that.
Used to have orange skin. You know what I'm saying? Grabbing women by their
you know, all these great things that all these things that he did.
I don't understand how you.
I don't understand.
I don't understand. Like this is the power of celebrity, because I don't know how you could say that you're grabbing women by the private parts and you still win the presidency.
And you still
how you gonna win? Like,
first, there's so many unprecedented things that happen with him.
Yeah.
There's no other. I don't know if there's too many other presidents that have a scandal before they go up and win the presidency, then continue in scandal while they're in the presidency,
and still keep going,
and still have an issue after you're out of office. Who does this?
I don't understand it. It must be somebody, the powers that be must have this individual in place and have no problem him being there.
They have no problem. You guys got to understand. They had no problem with Donald Trump being there, and there's a bunch of reasons why. When I tell you, everybody that had a business should have made money while Donald Trump was president. And everybody that was in business should have made more money.
Exactly.
Being in a business,
because he's a businessman, and everything's situated for business.
And when I tell you the business people just love him, it's not even about the rest of the cultures or who they're with. They're not worried about who's in bed with who. They are just trying to make more money.
Exactly. Money.
Point blank and period. So when you get to things like this, you got to ask yourself, how powerful are the corporations that can silence the leader of a nation?
Exactly.
Now, I'm not saying Kanye is up there with Donald Trump.
No, not at all.
But in the same talk, there are things that cultures, or let's just say it, so certain cultures are able to do to stop you from becoming whatever you decide you want to do.
Exactly. Either wealthy or censor. And this is the thing about it, is like, it's not, if you ever go onto the internet and you see something, it'll say, oh, Kanye's doing this right now. Like, who is writing these editorials on the internet so that it shows things at a negative slant?
There it is.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, there's no attached name to it. It's just, oh, Kanye does this, and he does this again, or this person does this again, and then this person's canceled for this reason, and this person's canceled. I'll tell you. I'll give you an example of something. Now, this happened this week, and this is a really good friend of mine, but probably don't even listen to my podcast, but she might not know about it. But I knew a person, bro, and this is the entitlement that I realized in situations. I know a person who went on a job, drunk, and still has that job today. Still has a job today, and they are not melanated person, right? So I don't understand. Now, if I happen to be doing that, I did that, I probably would not have a job.
There's a very high probability of that, dude.
And I was looking at it, I was like, wow, that is quite interesting. that is quite interesting. And I was like, wow, someone's able to come on a job and they can be drunk as a skunk. Right? Now,
right. And all they got to be is the right...
they got to be the right
color.
The right color. And guess what? Everything is all right.
And everything's okay.
Now, I highly doubt if I was that person, I would be in that situation.
Man,
you know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. There's a lot of things, man, that we get a chance. We're gonna get a chance to address, y'all.
Crunchy or
we'll get a chance to address.
Exactly.
And man, it's just like when I go to that topic, then I start talking about, okay, well, Kanye may have the topic is Kanye. Kanye, so I just feel like I'm talking about a whole lot about Kanye, but that's where we started and that's where we are.
Yeah. Exactly.
Kanye has enough influence to continue his life after saying something like this.
Because he is worth $2 billion. So you know what? And I think Kanye knows, Kanye's not a stupid individual. And this is what people don't have to understand. I'll give you an example. I was telling something to somebody about this White Lives Matter. Now, he said something in an interview, right? In the interview, he was talking to his father. And his father was saying, ha, 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 White Lives Matter. Right? And the reason being is because, of course they do. They probably matter more than Black Lives Matter. And that is a statement, in reality, that's an obvious statement. That's why he would probably say something like that. Like, I thought it was a genius thing to say because it's stating the obvious. Obviously they do. They obviously matter more than Black Lives Matter. So by me actually putting the t-shirt on of White Lives Matter, it's an oxymoron as a black or brown person or a black person. It's an oxymoron because obviously that's true.
It's
right?
complete true.
It makes most sense, right? Mm-hmm. Now, black people getting mad about it, that doesn't make any difference. If you understand what he's trying to do, it's stating the obvious. The obvious is, yes, that needs to be presented. Why shouldn't it be presented? And it's confusing to other people because they're like, what are you talking about, White Lives Matter? Are you trying to say that, that's more important than Black lives or blah, 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 whatever the case may be? It's not that. Let's see if I find it. Oh. It's not that. It's just the fact that he wants to bring attention to that. And people don't want attention brought to that. They want to be like, oh, Black Lives Matter, but you got Black Lives Matter who really don't represent black people. To me, they don't. Black Lives Matter, it seems more about themselves. And are they marching anymore? What are they doing? They're collecting money. The Black Lives Matter, one of their leaders just got in trouble for purchasing this multi-million-dollar mansion. Where is that money going to? It's even being funded by somebody who's not black. They wanted to create their own movement. And it's being funded by supposedly the same people who are oppressing Kanye West, which is the owner of Endeavor, supposedly. Someone told me that one of the owners of Endeavor, which is a large company, is starting to do some things. Who owns the UFC? Who pretty much screws over every UFC fighter in the world because they're not allowing them to get their own sponsorship. That's a whole nother thing because as a fighter, I'm always thinking about martial arts and martial artists. But they're the same people supposedly are causing problems for Kanye. But I think Kanye, at a certain point, he's like, I got enough money. I can say what the heck I want to do. I can do whatever I want to say. I can say what I want to say. If you're going to censor me, guess what? You can't. I'm already rich.
And that gets back to, once again, we brought right on to my point, is that when you want to say things like this, you do have to have a backing.
You do.
You have to.
Yeah.
You can say it, but the consequences or the things that come behind or the things that grow out of what you're going to say, you have to be able to adjust. You have to be able to cultivate what you said.
Yeah.
You have to be able to maybe even multiply what you said, back it up. You have to have people behind you. You have to have a team. And Kanye's got a team. Kanye's got I feel like Kanye's got a vision. He's not just out here saying anything.
No, I don't think
to
so.
Anybody, to any old body, because it would have been came out.
Exactly.
If it was that point.
I think he has a specific. I think he says these things, like even the whole slavery is a choice thing or whatever. He knows it's going to cause controversy. You know what I'm saying? He knows that. He knows it's going to cause some people to get disrupted. It's going to keep his name in the news. It's going to keep him relevant. You know what I'm saying? You have technical difficulties?
No, I'm checking mine.
But it's going to keep things going. It's going to keep his name in the news. See, the thing about Kanye, I believe, is that he wants to bring as much attention to himself so he can accomplish the things that he feels like he needs to accomplish. So if he has a purpose in mind of building his school, Donda, whatever his school named after his mother, or building or starting to establish a certain amount of things, he's trying to be the hardest part about being Kanye is being the first Kanye is being able to set a precedent. He's already set a precedent in fashion. He's already set a precedent in music. You know what I'm saying? He's setting a precedent in other things because he doesn't want to be censored. He wants to be free. And his viewpoint is, listen, I should be able to say as a black man whatever I want to say, and as a citizen of the United States, and freedom. And there's supposed to be freedom of speech. I'm supposed to be able to say this, and he's always said his mind. But he said that George Bush didn't like black people, whatever the case may be. He stated that because that was on his mind. He wants to push the narrative. The reason why he wants to do that is because the narrative is being controlled all the time.
All the time.
And sometimes when you get to the point where it's not about the money, it's like sometimes you need to have enough money so you can push a narrative of your own. You know what I'm saying? And be able to establish things on your own. Because when you got all these companies canceling you, you know what I'm saying? How many multi-billionaires who are black people or CEOs running Fortune 500 companies? Not that many. Can you name any? Besides American Express, which I don't even know if Chenault is even running that anymore. But there's not too many that you can name off. And why is that, though?
No, man. I feel like this is going to bring... This is like with the whole former President Donald Trump situation. Mm-hmm. I feel like we as a black people were more connected. Mm-hmm. We knew more about what was going on. Mm-hmm. When he was in presidency, you just you had to.
Yeah.
Because he said things that just like, whoa. He brought out the other people that were hiding in their racism, but he also had us watching for the next situation, so we could try and rectify the situation. Exactly. We weren't sitting at home waiting for the next narrative to be told. Yeah. And being afraid of what's going on.
Bro, people, let me tell you something, people. We are chomping on some pizza, all right? Some California pizza. Not shout out to them, but we are chomping. So if you do hear the crunches, that's where it's coming from. But you know what? I'm not a Trumpster. I don't see, this is the thing. I'm not a Trump supporter, but I'll tell you the truth. I do like Trump for different reasons. And I dislike certain things about Trump for other reasons. So I'm not like a supporter, but I'm not like a person who's against him because to me, Trump is a funny individual. He's like a caricature. And to me, it's like a person who I think personally has done a lot more for black people than a lot of other presidents, to be honest with you, when I start looking back at it. And not like I'm a supporter of his because I don't believe that, in everything he does. But to be honest with you, I think that a lot of this whole rhetoric, even with Trump, like with the racist stuff, I personally, if you ever looked at Trump in the past, he was with rappers, he was with Tupac, he was like, all of these black people. You know what I'm saying? Literally. Hanging. So, him being the way he is, I think, even him getting with the Proud Boys and all this crazy stuff, I think it's opportunity. Look, I've got people who are interested in and making me into the great white hope, and whether they're racist or not, guess what? They support me. So guess what? Anybody who supports me, I support them. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it had anything to do with racism. Now, could Trump be racist? He could be. Who knows? He might be the racist person in the world. Who knows behind closed doors? But I know he's not enough. I know he's not biased enough to take pictures of black people and get Lil Wayne off and Kodak Black. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, that's the thing, man. And if you start looking at it, those people like Lil Wayne and Kodak, these people have money. You know what I'm saying? They get paid. He has money. It's all about money. It's not about like. It's more about separation of classes. People don't understand this. Separation of classes is not what you think it is. But regardless, he's doing his thing, and if he's not doing the right thing, he'll get caught up in it.
Right. And just like getting back to the Kanye situation, Kanye's done this before.
Exactly.
He's fallen off. Now, if he pops back up on our timelines, which he will, everybody's painting this picture of doom and gloom. You know what I'm saying? We're doing this whole. I feel like we're doing this whole Job thing.
Yeah.
And we're the friends that came to see Job.
Yeah.
Like, what did you do?
That God was starting to.
That God could take away all of this from you. We're doing that. We're doing the whole. I feel like we're doing that whole story of Job right now. And we're the friends that came to see Kanye, and just like Kanye, what did you do, man? You spoke out, and you said you may have went way too far this time, man. You're gonna make it hot for the rest of us.
Exactly.
We might need to leave your house now.
Exactly, because you're rich.
Because you're rich. How does this happen to you?
Exactly.
And it's like, oh man, it's like, man, you should have. I feel like sometimes we're like, man, you should have been quiet.
Well, I'll give you
like Master was treating us all good.
Exactly.
And then you go and say something like that
and screw it up
and screw it up for the rest of us.
You make it Master mad. You gonna whip everybody down. But see, this is the thing. This is the thing. I think about with Kanye West is that go back in a couple years when Oprah Winfrey started talking about the meat industry, and it was like they were like the meat was like becoming like, I forgot what was going on, but it got tainted or something like that. And she went in on the meat industry, but she noticed that got shut down immediately. She shut it down because people were like telling her, I guess the powers that be were like, yo, we're gonna shut you down. She wasn't to that point where she was a billionaire where she could just say anything she wanted.
Man, things.
And she's cut that off quick.
She still can't. She still wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, she still won't be able to because just the meat industry makes billions of dollars.
The machine that keeps certain industries going, you can't imagine the power that they wield over everything else.
Exactly.
And I believe social media is at the top right now.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing you could do. There's no government. There's no government governing body that could shut down Twitter right now or Facebook if they're not already using Facebook for their own means,
for their own purposes. But then
it's its own purpose.
And then you also have to think. I always feel like this, and I'm not a conspiracy person, particularly. Maybe I am to a certain extent, but you have to think about it. Facebook has so much collection of data units on every individual that I'm sure the government, of course, has all that information as well. So if you know about anything about Cambridge Analytics, how they use all these data points in each and every person to market to people, they've got so much information on people that they know exactly how to predict what you're going to do, where you're going to go. They basically, your phone tells you where your location is at. They can see all your buying habits. You see all the locations you've gone to based on your social experiences, everything. So you pretty much can predict your whole life, right?
Yes, sir.
So with all those projections and predictions, that's power. And Facebook has like so many users that they pretty much are like their own nation. You know what I'm saying? So don't think that the government doesn't have access to all that information. So that's one thing that they do have, because it's not like they couldn't hack into Facebook or Twitter or any of these places.
They don't need to.
They don't even need to. It's right there, and they probably have relationships with these companies.
They have that. It's not even. I was watching a podcast with a brother from the Nation of Islam. I forgot his name. Very well spoken man, but he talks about in this podcast. He talks about his new book that's coming out. He's dropping a new book, and the first chapter talks about basically the power of social media and who basically runs social media, who they report to, and what governing bodies are using the social media to basically watch or to censor or to use the information to know exactly what you're saying, what we're gonna be doing, where we're gonna be, who's gonna be there, and if you don't watch yourself, all of this things that we value, that we think we have, and that we think Kanye lost, it's the exact same thing. There's things that you're going to lose.
True.
If you speak out, there's going to be something. You use all of these apps.
Exactly, and you don't know if they're being recorded. Things are being recorded through your phone. I remember one time I saw this thing where Mark Zuckerberg was in a picture, and in the picture he had an Apple phone, an Apple computer, and he covered up the camera. I'm like, why are you covering up the camera? Is it because somebody can access your camera and look into your camera through your phone, through your computer, and look at everything you got going on? Is that the case?
Is that the case?
You know what I'm saying?
Is it happening? It's happening, man. And people got to understand that nobody wants to make it sound like, oh, you're being watched. But
you are.
If somebody wants the information on you, it's there.
Yeah.
I want y'all to know, like, I teach a coding class at my school.
Okay.
And I also teach internet safety in that coding class. And everything that you put on your phone, that you send over the web, is on somebody else's server right now.
Yep.
Every photo you've taken, maybe even phone calls, is on somebody else's server.
And messages too.
Do they have the right to use it? No, they don't have the right to use it because that stuff doesn't belong to them. But do they have it? That's another question.
Yeah.
They have this information on every last one of us. We've given away so many privacies and so many rights that we don't even know. You're giving away free information every day by getting on these devices. And I'm not trying to get super conspiracy-like, but this is the truth. This is what's happening, and it's what's happening every day. And this is the nation that we live in. And we have to be cognizant of what's going on. And I believe that some of the things that Kanye may convey, not even the stuff that they say was this anti-Semitic type stuff, but not even that. But there's even in the worst lie, there's some type of truth, and that's how you get people to believe the lie. Is that it has to have some type of truth in it.
But this is what I don't understand. When people put up the word anti-Semitic, right? What does that mean? Because you're saying something bad against Jewish people that you consider not to be true? You know what I'm saying? If he considers his truth, that's his truth. Simple as that. If we say something about black people, someone's like, oh, that person is racist or whatever, but there's a lot of racism that goes on without having any words being said at all. And the person who's behind it, we don't know who they are. They're powers that be, who happen to control the narrative, which is media and social media, and they control the narrative, but you don't see the hands who are saying, oh yeah, Kanye is this, Kanye is that, you know what I'm saying? And who is saying these things? Who is saying, okay, this person, well, we're analyzing, okay, now, when you say, do you have any power to exert anything over any person who is Jewish? Literally, does Kanye have any power to affect any person that is Jewish? So being anti something means you dislike something, right? Or you're against something. I didn't see where, from what I saw, I have to go take a look at it. I didn't see where he said he was against people who happen to be Jewish. That would say you're against Jewish people. He said that we are part of Jews. We're Jewish. Black people are Jewish themselves. That's one aspect that I did hear him say. So if you're saying you're part of something that somebody else is, I don't think that would be anti. That'd be like self-hatred, wouldn't it?
Right.
And a lot of times when I start looking at certain people, like Candace Owens was with him. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not a crazy Candace Owens fan. And I feel like she has a lot of self-hatred going on against black people. You know, but I could be wrong. But it's possible. I wouldn't align myself with her because I feel like she's a Republican, and I do have some aspects of Republican. There's certain good things about Republicans, but a lot of them don't cater to black people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when you and I think what happens is when you're a person who's black and you're a Republican, you stand out more because there's like a million Democrats who happen to be black, right? Because that's supposed to be our party, quote unquote. But I think when you stand out and you want to have your own agenda, like Candace Owens, you stand out more because you're black. Because black people are like, "What are you doing?" You know what I'm saying?
I feel like it all goes back to something one of my mentors said to me one day. He said, follow the money. And that's what this is all really about. This is about the money. Because the money represents the power. The money represents the authority. The money represents those people at the top. And with all those things said that you just said about the Kanye situation, you have to ask yourself, when they censor somebody, how powerful is this person?
Correct.
That you had to censor.
Yeah.
Take away deal. But
they want to show you
all of their money. It shows you how much he has to say might affect a group of people.
And this is the thing. I think what happens at a certain point, you got to be in his position. You got to be a billionaire to protect yourself at that situation where you could say something like that. Because at a certain point, you've got to be insulated. Because think about it like this: the powers that be, right? They're showing you, if you say these things, we're going to shut this down, shut this down, shut this down, shut this down. He's like, well, I already established a lot of things already. I don't need that. That's what I'm saying in the first place. I wouldn't say if I didn't know what the consequences were going to be. And I don't think he just says things out of no reason. There's a lot of thought process behind these things. I don't think he just says things he's trying to be like, has Tourette's or doesn't know what he's talking about. When I start looking at it deeper, there's a lot more deeper meaning behind what he says than what you see and what is being presented. You have to remember, things are being presented a certain way. Like even the guy who is on Drink Champs got to start apologizing for Kanye. Why do you have to apologize for what another person said?
Why are you apologizing for Kanye? Why? Kanye is not the entire group of black people.
He doesn't represent everybody.
So you know what I'm saying? He's offended a lot of people. We just chose this.
Yeah.
This was just a flavor of the day.
Exactly.
So I don't understand another man apologizing for another man.
Exactly. Why? You know why he's doing that though? The powers that be said, you probably want to keep your platform. We're going to remove you out of your platform if you don't apologize for even having the person on there. And that's power.
That's power.
That's power because why are you buckling? This is your platform that you created. Somebody's telling you, yo, if you don't apologize for even having this person on here, and it seems, because to be honest with you, when he's on Drink Champs, he just interviews people. So he doesn't necessarily, he's neutral. He doesn't say anything that has to do with what they're doing. He just says, okay, this is what we've been hearing. What is your viewpoint on this? That has nothing to do with him personally. It's just like Barbara Walters going on and interviewing somebody and them telling, oh, I killed this amount of people, or I did this, I don't like this, I don't like black people, or I don't like that. And they're like, oh, Barbara Walters, you know what? You should kind of move away from that interview, and you should detract everything that person said. No one ever told Gail when she interviewed R. Kelly that oh man, you should step away because He told you remember that whole situation about the girls?
Yeah, you telling too much truth right now.
You know what I'm saying? You remember the time when Gail, when he said, she asked him, do you like young girls or something like that? And he said, how young? What did he say? How young?
Yeah, he said something like how young.
He's like, how young or something like that or something. Very ambiguous, but it wasn't like a way he was like in denial, like saying that I don't talk to young women. You know what I'm saying? How young is young? You know what I'm saying? And I was like, yo, bro, you were killing yourself. What are you doing? Shut up.
Man, just stop.
No, stop.
Just stop. Go do your time for what you did.
Bro.
Stop.
It just lets you know that when you don't have a right mental state, you don't listen to anybody. You just think that what you're doing is right. That interview shouldn't even happen. You just made it 100 times worse. You know what I'm saying? By even going there. But no one tells Gail, oh, you know what? I think we want to associate you with R. Kelly and what he was doing.
Nobody's going to associate Gail with what shit.
You know what I'm saying? Why are they not going to do that? Because she's part of the establishment.
They got somebody to say out loud, why would you do that? Mm-hmm. You know Massa is going to be mad. Exactly. On our own, since we lumping black people together, on our own network, on our own podcast, on their their podcast,
yep,
which is brown people.
Correct.
They got us to apologize.
Exactly.
For another black man's words.
Exactly. The reason why, because they told him they'll probably shut you down. Why would I do that? Because they said, well, you're probably being anti-Semitic by even allowing him to be there. Now, you know what? We don't go into a situation where we don't talk to Megyn Kelly on her viewpoints when she's speaking with D.L. Hughley and say she's anti-black. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of people out there on Fox News Network, you know what I'm saying, pretty much, they're quite not very, I wouldn't say they're very hospitable to black people. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of negative tone. And then when you start thinking about all these networks, why are we the number one offenders when it comes to crime and all this stuff? But we're not even the largest part of this population. That makes no sense. Like, how could we be committing all these crimes when 60% of this nation is Caucasian, and you got Hispanics or another portion, and then us, which is probably the smallest portion here, but yet we affect 100% of this culture, which makes no sense to me, because we could not be going around robbing things all over the place, because in reality, there's not enough of us to do that. That's why it wouldn't make any sense when people start saying, oh, there could be a race war. First of all, there's not enough black people in this country to have a race war. They would lose immediately because we don't have the population for that. So that's stupid. You know what I'm saying? So if you're even saying something like that, it makes it look like black people and white people have the same amount of population space in the United States, which they don't.
Which we don't.
So how is that even possible? And it's usually said by somebody who's not black or not brown, which makes no sense to me. And it causes division. Because they're like, oh, well, like you have all these, militias and stuff out in the freaking country. Mm-hmm. And we got to prepare. There's a race war. There cannot be a race war. There's not enough people to do that.
They've divided us so much.
Exactly.
That it's not. I don't see a group of people in America. I don't care what group it is, coming together to create that type of war.
It's stupid. What are you going to accomplish by that? What can possibly be accomplished by that? You know what I'm saying? And see, this is the thing we don't understand, is that the people who are really supporting Mr. GT, Donald Trump, a lot of these people are left wing, and they're really, the Proud Boys and all this stuff. All these other companies like Banyan, he is associated with some of these racist magazines and organizations. This is more to do with trying to bring, it's almost like the whole situation like with the South. Remember the South, their biggest economy was slavery. It's all about money.
It's all about money.
Black people can be a commodity. They're not, it's nothing to do, they're being used as a commodity in every which way. Basketball players, all these type of things that you see, football players, and it's really just basically using black people as a commodity, as a product. And ultimately, it's all about money. There's nothing else besides money that it comes down to. Money and resources. Kanye being able to make those comments is like, listen, I got enough resources, I can say it, so I'm insulated at a certain point. But I'm still going to get some brunt of these blows because now they're going to try to hit me in my pocket. But why are black people not coming together and hitting them in their pocket? This is the problem. We're the ones who are the consumers. You know what I'm saying? We consume millions of billions of dollars of materials and all these type of things, and we don't want to wake up and decide to let's come together, do our own thing, and start putting the black dollar to some type of effective use. We're not doing that. We're too busy looking at the reason why. I mean, are black people? Do you feel like black people even supporting Kanye? They're like, oh, is Kanye ours or he's white? Or you know what I'm saying? I'm seeing two. I see.
You're seeing
two different sides from this situation.
A classist situation.
Yeah.
They see that Kanye made some money, or he's making some money, or he can make some influential deals, and it's like all of a sudden you're not the black Kanye no more.
Yeah.
You're not the black Kanye no more. You're not old Kanye. You got more money. You're not old Kanye. But he really basically just showed you all of old Kanye. Yeah. And everywhere that he's done it, every instance where he's been canceled, he's showing you the old Kanye.
He's showing you what's possible. And I think he's showing you also what you don't understand. He's provoking powers that be because he has the ability to do that, or at least it has a platform to do it. Now he's standing alone. There's nobody out. Who other black? You don't hear anything from Jay-Z. Is Jay-Z backing him up?
Nobody's saying nothing.
You hear Sean Puffy Combs backing him up. You hear Dr. Dre backing him up. They're billionaires. Why we don't hear anything from them?
I heard nothing.
Crickets.
How come nobody's saying? There's really not anybody until the company started dropping him. Nobody said that he was wrong. Because if it went over, when he said the whole there wasn't all this movement when he said that slavery was a choice.
Of course.
There was nothing moved for Kanye sales. I really doubt it.
Of course it wasn't.
Nothing moved. The media didn't do anything. They didn't. No. We posted that thing a couple times. You saw it for a week or three, and it was over. No black, because the black support, the black community that's supposed to be together and working with him it's not them that's supporting his situation.
Of course.
Well, so I don't understand how we could be so upset or so belittling of somebody who has something to say now that you don't support in the first place.
Exactly. You don't support him in the first place because you think he's white now.
Think he's white. You saw that stuff at the Gap, and you just knew that oh my God, he's just putting the trash out there, blah 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 blah. Yeah. But when come to find out, he really was just putting trash out there because he didn't like his deal.
Exactly, and
he don't want the deal.
Exactly, and this is the thing, like. The reason why he's saying this is because when you get into those boardrooms and things like that, they're not treating you as an equal. He has to be Kanye even to get into that room. Any other person wouldn't even be getting in that room with his color hue. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure when he's looking around, and I've noticed something that's really weird, and I'm not, like I told you guys, I'm not a conspiracy theorist person, but I've noticed that when I start seeing black fashion designers that get successful, they end up dying very quickly. Or early. You ever notice that? It's really weird. Like Virgil Abloh was like working with Kanye at a certain point, I guess with Balenciaga, one of these places, I don't even know, but he was working with him, and that's how he built up his whole fashion line with Virgil Abloh. Virgil Abloh started working with one of these large companies. I don't know which company it was, so don't quote me, but a very large brand. And all of a sudden, this guy died. Out of the blue, this guy died. I don't know if he died of COVID or what. He just died. And I was like, but I've noticed like a pattern, like certain black fashion designers, like at a certain point, they just kick off. They got cancer. Something happens to them, and it's weird to me. Like Jean Basquiat or whatever. It's just weird, man. Like it's just the weirdest thing. But I noticed that people, their counterparts, they're still cool. Why is that? Because they don't want us to affect the culture or white culture in a certain type of way. In that area, they want to have control of it. And I've talked to some women who've been models. This is a lot of racism in the fashion industry. A lot. Of course, because it's very hard for black women as a whole, even just to get into the fashion industry, because they don't consider those black women beautiful.
That too. And they don't want. I feel like we have more power than we think we know.
Yeah.
And if we were to get into those spots,
probably take them over.
We'll take those spots over because we're the ones creating we're the ones creating the ruckus. We're the ones creating the new fashions. Exactly. We're the ones cultivating the new things. We're the ones switching things up. We're the ones that basically move the culture of forward in fashion, music, and all things. And these things are all things that can be shown. Yeah. So therefore, the money is always there and is always being able to be manipulated by the things that we do. Yeah. So if you got six of the best, stylists or producers in the whole entire world, and they're all black. And the music industry is as huge as it is. Yeah. If you have all of those people at the top and they actually own some part of it, or even a majority share, the money just shifted.
Exactly, and this is the problem. We know,
and the power,
and we know that majority of people whom Kanye was talking about, they own these power structures that exploit black people. Now, whether they're Jewish or whether they're Caucasian or whether other things, I'm not going to get into that, but we know. I'll give you an example. So SKG is basically is Steven Spielberg, Jeffrey Katzenberg, and also David Geffen. Mm-hmm. That company is a multi-billion-dollar company, but those guys are all billionaires by themselves. Steven Spielberg did E.T. Jeff Katzenberg was the executive producer of all the Pirates of the Caribbean, so those made billions of dollars. And then David Geffen was a leader in the music industry, basically did Guns N' Roses, did so many different artists, the Eagles, he was their manager. So he had Geffen Records, which made millions of dollars, probably even billions. And they came together and they had a company, SKG, which they released movies. They released a large movie studio, which releases tons of movies. And they did this years and years ago. Why didn't Dr. Dre, not Dr. Dre, Kanye, Jay-Z, Puffy, why haven't they come together and built their own conglomerate? They're all billionaires. They did that. They're making money all over the place. Why are they not doing that? Why are they not ruling the music industry?
I feel like a lot of us think that they don't have bosses.
Whoa, that's truth, bro.
A lot of us feel like once you make a certain amount of money, you don't have a boss. You feel like they don't have a boss. Like they don't work give their time for money. Yeah. And they do.
They do. They answer to somebody.
Yeah. You gotta be you answer to the person with the next biggest amount of money.
Exactly.
You answer to somebody.
Yeah.
You just don't get to do whatever you feel. You answer to somebody.
No.
And you gotta be sure you're in position.
Yeah.
Y'all have please. Just because we get a little money in our pocket does not mean that we don't answer to somebody at some point.
Exactly. And somebody who allows you to be in that position.
There are certain people that are allowing you to be in your position.
Exactly.
Like all the things that you there are some people who I see, I understand you got it out the mud, you went, what I'm saying, you worked all day, you was on your feet 17 hours a day working. And and now you got some money.
Yeah.
You still answer to somebody. You're still giving your time
exactly
for money.
And that's the thing I realized with Kanye is that he is at a point where he still has to answer to somebody too.
We go. He had to answer to all these companies that y'all see
exactly
dropped out. So I think the lesson is that we're not watching for what we need to watch for.
Yeah.
We've seen a billionaire be silenced.
Correct. And
We've seen a black billionaire be silenced.
Yeah.
You've seen a president who's probably a billionaire. Let me just call that what it is. You've seen a president billionaire also be silenced.
Of course.
And just in case you didn't know, our President Obama might be a billionaire all by himself. You just don't know. You just don't know it. Nobody's told you.
Yeah, they're not going to publicize
because you're not going to publicize that. There's people. If you look it up, y'all go and look up. I know. President Obama is President Obama. That's our black president. But go and look up. Search everybody out.
Yeah.
Just because they're black doesn't mean that you don't have to go do a background check and find out where they get their money from.
Exactly, because people don't understand that there's before Obama used to be, and this is in his Wikipedia, all right? This is something you can go look at. He used to work for this American corporation that he basically did his job was to analyze the financial status of different countries and do projections. And one of the companies they used to work for, I forgot what it was called, the American Corporation, but it's in Wikipedia. You can look it up. This company was a shell company, or it wasn't even a shell company. It was like a undercover company for the CIA. So he worked literally for this company that is a cover for the CIA. Now this is before he became president. So how did he end up becoming president? You know what I'm saying? If you work for the CIA before you become president, does that mean he might have been placed in that situation because he's chosen for that? You know what I'm saying? We always think, oh, this person did this and did that. A lot of things you're placed in that situation.
Yeah.
You're chosen for that, and you're the right person for it. They've been cultivating you, and you're in there for a reason. That's why I feel like all these other people, like these rappers like Jay-Z and Dr. Dre and Sean Puffy Combs, they're not saying anything because you know what? They don't want to get out of position because their handlers say, hey, shut up. Don't say nothing about this. Stay in your place. You want to lose your billions. You want to shut your deals down. Don't talk about it.
There you go. They got a lot of people that they also have to make sure get fed.
Exactly.
So if they go talking about this, and they don't have the backing behind them to just say whatever they want to say.
Exactly. They're going to get shut down.
They're going to get shut down too. And all the families that they feed going to get shut down. All the possibilities that could have came out of you basically playing your role.
Exactly. Playing your position.
Are shut down.
Exactly. And I think what happens is because of Kanye's now this is the thing, people always talk about him having mental illness and having ADHD. I think a lot of times that kind of saves him because then he's able to say what he wants to say out of his mouth because then people like they were like, well, you know what, they could shut him down in different ways. Yeah, I don't know if you ever seen any of his rants where he's saying some of the other rappers try to kill him and all this type of crazy stuff. You don't know if these people are actually trying to take you out.
You really don't.
You really don't.
You don't know if this. You guys got to take some of this stuff with a grain of salt, man. Just be for real. Listen. Now that, like I said, the reason why a lie works is because there's
a grain of truth in it. Yeah. And then guess what? You really can't determine what the truth is because you're like, dang, there's a little bit of speculation here, but it really, I know this is truth. But then, because I remember I used to date this this individual who was very good at lying. But you know what? They also have a grain of truth in it, so it was really hard to determine if they were lying or not. And this individual was a lot older, you know what I'm saying? And they were very smart. They could remember all their lies. So it was really hard to catch them because they remembered everything. So the hardest part about being a liar is remembering what you said. You know what I'm saying? And then also making sure there's a grain of truth in it. Because if there's a grain of truth, you could confuse people.
You can tie it to something.
You can tie it to something.
Then the lie is grounded.
The lie is
and you
grounded.
Remember what you tied it to, then you can tell it a different way.
Exactly.
Next time.
You could tell it a different way, and you could come from a different direction. Like, well. Then you're like, dang, I'm second guessing myself because the person already knows or anticipates what you're going to say. They're like, okay, I got this. If they say A, I'm going to say B. If they say B, I'm going to play C, and then D, and just go down the line. Because they already got in their mind how to navigate, and they have to be able to think on their feet very quickly.
There it is, man.
You know what I'm saying?
And we just want you guys to know that we're on here, giving you guys our thoughts on this Kanye situation. And it may not even just be a Kanye situation. Maybe Kanye's letting us know that it ain't just a Kanye situation.
Exactly.
If you can shut down a billionaire's bank account.
Yeah.
What else do you think the rest of your financial institutions could do right now to you, and nobody would even blink or know?
Exactly. And this is the thing people don't understand. Kanye is becoming a sacrificial lamb to let you know this is what these people are going to do to you if you do this. And you got to wake up and stop looking at it like, oh, Kanye is this, Kanye is that. He is presenting himself as sacrificial lamb because they're like, okay, Citibank's not going to work with Kanye. We're gonna change our. You know what I'm saying? It's letting you know that the powers that be, when you speak out at certain things, they're going to be able to affect change in your life and shut stuff down. I'm sure he's probably taking money and put it in other places where it cannot be touched, where it cannot be affected by it. Because if you're saying all these things, there's going to be a backlash. You know what I'm saying? And you got to think about, like, he probably put it in crypto or whatever he put it in if he was to insulate and secure himself, because there's going to be a backlash, and they shouldn't be where somebody outside influences. Now, all of a sudden, Citibank is starting to change stuff with Kanye's, or Chase or Citibank decides they're cutting ties with him. Like, why? Why are you doing that? Because of what he said?
Just look at let's not even look at what he said, man. Let's get what he said. Look at what happened after he said what he said. Yeah. Look what can happen to your life. They don't care how much money you have as a brown person.
Exactly.
You can still lose this money over here that we basically had there, that you made, that you went out and got. We can still take that away from you. Yeah, we can take everything away from you, basically. And guys on here, we gotta get back to it. Basically back to the title of the whole podcast. We gotta level up. Yeah, we gotta level up. We gotta get smarter. Yeah, and we gotta get this. We gotta get some social proof. Yeah, and we also gotta get this. We gotta go get the bag. We gotta start creating a powerful situation. Exactly. We got to create a power structure. This is what the thing is. What the whole thing of leveling up is that, listen, we got to stop seeing each other as enemies and start seeing ourselves as an alliance. Because what happens is you're looking at this Kanye situation like, oh, well, he's got money. That's his problem. This is what you call it. But guess what? Every problem is not your problem until you get there. You know what I'm saying? You haven't got there yet, so it's not your problem. Because you haven't got there, it's like, the whole thing. Mike Tyson said everybody's got a plan until I knock their tail out. Unless you get punched out, knocked out. Everybody's got a plan then. Right. Everybody's got one. You're just not in the position to be in Kanye's position to get to be a billionaire. But you never know if you're going to end up being there. Have you even thought that you might possibly be able to get to a point where you are a billionaire and you might want to express yourself? Now you're like, no, man, I don't have enough money to be. Why? Why can't you be a billionaire? Why don't you think it's possible for you? You know what I'm saying? This is about leveling up. Right. You have to stop thinking that you can't do things just because if you see he could do it, why can't you do it? Why can't you do it? He wasn't born a billionaire. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't born a millionaire. He comes from a single family home. And he's a billionaire right now. So it's only because he thinks he could get there. You got to think you can get to a certain place, or else you won't even understand. You got to stop looking at these situations that affect us
in a, like only at a tunnel vision or only at a small perspective. You got to start seeing the big picture. How do you fit in as a person, and how do you fit in as a people? How do you start seeing yourself? Because the whole thing, when I think about like, and this is my last thing to say really, is that when I start thinking about black people, and I think I mentioned this, there is no black people. We're brown people. Like people who are Mexican consider themselves brown people. You know what I'm saying? People who are Indian consider themselves brown people. There's more brown people out here who have more things in common than people who are not. I saw one of the instructors that I was sparring with at a dojo. I looked at his skin color while he was sparring another black man. The only difference between his color, between him and that other individual, was his hair. And I was thinking to myself, why are these people separate from us? We're the same color. Like we are literally, he's the same color, except his hair was straighter. Does that make him better than me because his hair is closer to being Caucasian or white? Or he feels like that is? You know what I'm saying? Because it's the same color. It's just based on geographical regions that our DNA is created. So why is that a problem? That's why I believe that there's reason why people call black, white, brown, or red or whatever. Because when you have all these classifications, you can't bring people together. You know what I'm saying? People want division. But go ahead, brother.
And we're going to wrap it up here on the D&D Leveling Up Podcast.
Best podcast in the world, baby.
Understand, and if you don't know, now you know,
baby.
Understand that we are only here to level our people up, level ourselves up in every way. We're here to take us all to the next level. And the big question is, why aren't you a millionaire?
Exactly. Why aren't you a billionaire?
Why aren't you a billionaire by now?
Don't ask us that. By the time you ask us, we'll already be there already.
Take some time. Ask yourself. Assess the situation. Assess what's going around. Why aren't you a billionaire? Why aren't you doing that thing that you know you were supposed to start years ago?
Exactly.
That you got plenty of time to even go and do. You scrolling your phone, you got time to work on something you said you were going to do.
Yeah. That
could make you the 1,000 in.
Yeah.
Then you make the thousands and you turn that into hundreds of thousands. You turn the hundreds of thousands into millions.
Yeah.
Then you take the millions and do like everybody else that went for the millions. They went to the billions. They're trying to get to the billions. So we got to level up.
You got to level up.
And with that being said, we're going to check you guys out next podcast. All right. Make sure you go and check out the other podcasts. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. Please and thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Elvis has left the building. Why is it still on?